Good evening. We're here with the Chase The Vase Podcast. I'm here with Max Hall. Man, legendary. Man, I'm just excited to have you face to face with you finally, man.
Oh, dude, yeah, this is going to be great, man. I've kind of gotten to know your story a little bit, followed you on Instagram, been on the website, read your story. So similarities, dude, similarities. And I think there's a lot of, people who've gone through stuff that we've gone through. We can all kind of share almost a bond, right? That we've been through this, but we can relate, and it's going to be fun to sit down and talk about it right now.
Yeah, well, I first got to lay some foundations. People got to know who
Yeah.
I'm talking to. You know what I mean? Like, you're kind of legendary here in Arizona. I mean, you're legendary everywhere, but I think even bigger than life here. My wife went to Mountain View High School.
Oh, Toro. Okay.
Okay, so she's a Toro. I don't know how to make the sign or anything, but I've gone to a game. So I don't know if that makes me an expert. So you're a local football star who you actually went to ASU, right? Did you sign at ASU first?
I did, man. That was my dream school.
Yeah.
Grew up an ASU fan. My grandpa and my uncle played there. They got their numbers retired in the stadium, right? So I was all about ASU. So yeah, that's where I started.
Okay, so then you picked up and you transferred to BYU.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, you're still the only quarterback. Well, you're the last quarterback that has beat the ASU, the Arizona teams, right?
Well, yes, and it's more so the last quarterback to beat Utah, the University of Utah. That's kind of the big thing that all the BYU people talk about is I was the last guy to beat the University of Utah. So, and that's a big deal then because it's been 11 years, I think, since BYU's beat Utah. So they almost think it's cursed. They think I cursed BYU for some reason. They can't beat Utah again. But yeah, so that's kind of where you're getting that from is
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
University. Okay. So then you get picked up and get drafted by the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah. So I didn't get drafted. I got picked up as a free agent.
Okay.
It's interesting how that whole world works. And I thought I had a chance to, ended up not working out. But after the draft, I had 4 teams that I could go to that all wanted me. And I wanted to come back to Arizona and be with the Cardinals. And so that's kind of the direction I took.
Man, how cool was that to just get in that stadium and play football, man?
Dude, it was unreal. I got there as the 4th-string quarterback, right? Getting no reps in practice. I'm just kind of enjoying the moment. I'm looking over at all these guys like Larry Fitzgerald and Beanie Wells was on the team and Derek Anderson was the quarterback. Matt Leinart was there. So I'm just man, this is cool, dude. I'm here. And dude, I just worried about myself getting better, taking advantage of my reps. And then all of a sudden week 4, right before the half, coach is like, you're in, versus San Diego. Next week I'm starting versus the Saints, man. And I can just remember dude, this is really cool. It's prime time. I got a pretty cool opportunity here to play in the league. So I wish it would have lasted longer. And, but I did get a chance.
Yeah, you did, man. You did. That's just amazing. So let's digress a little bit. So when did your addiction, or first of all, maybe what were you addicted to?
Started off with painkillers, and then just progressively got worse from there. When you can't afford that anymore, you go to heroin, and then you're introduced to cocaine, you introduced to MDMA and Molly and all that stuff. I never was a big hallucinogenics guy. That stuff so it was mainly the opiates and the cocaine that really my addiction, and especially combining the two. That was kind of my deal.
So where did your addiction start?
So, I had been introduced to it about, Percocets and stuff. Guys would take them in high school, whatever. But it really started after my first year with the Cardinals because the story goes here. I told you that I got a start versus the New Orleans Saints, right? Well, in that game, I tried to dive into the end zone carrying the ball and got hit and knocked out cold on the field. I'd had a lot of concussions before, but this is the first time where I was cold out. And I kind of remember one of the players picked me up and I didn't know what was going on. Funny story that it was Larry Fitzgerald who picked me up and he said, "Hey, Max, don't worry. We scored. And I'm like, okay, sweet, man. We'll come to find out I fumbled and one of the offensive linemen picked it up in the end zone. Scored, dude. But So that was kind of the start of it, man. And I was hazy for the next couple of weeks, and they still continued to play me, and I didn't play well. And then they ended up pulling me, right? So I'm in this weird funk right now. I'm depressed. I got a concussion, not in a good state of mind. A couple weeks later, I end up getting another chance to play, dislocate my shoulder. So now, but timeout. I also got knocked out again and then dislocate my shoulder. So now I got 2 bad concussions. I got a dislocated shoulder. I'm depressed out of my mind. I feel like my career's over. I'm in pain, and I get prescribed oxycodone, right? So off we go. I come to find out, hey, if I take 4 or 5 of these bad boys, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not thinking about my shoulder. I'm not thinking about how depressed I am. Life's okay. It's manageable. I can get through this. It just kind of numbs it, you know that. So that's where it started, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And now I'm out of the pills that I'm getting from the doctor. So now I'm finding them from other people, and I'm getting introduced to other people. And next thing you know, man, I've got connections and contacts, and I'm just in the wrong crowd, man.
Yeah. And how fast did that spiral out of control?
Oh, I mean, within a year, I was full blown, and probably more like 6 months, I was probably full blown. And then it was trying to hide it from everybody, hide it from my wife. And as you know, probably a year into it, my wife had eventually find out, and I was convincing her to keep it a secret. I didn't want anybody to know what was going on with me. It ruined my reputation. And but it got to the point to where it completely had a hold of me. It was the first thing I thought about in the morning. It was the last thing I thought about before I went to bed. And I spent the most of my day chasing it.
Man.
Being afraid that I'd wake up and not have anything in the morning. I didn't want to be dope sick and go into withdrawal. So it became a constant chase for me. That's all I could think about. I thought about it before my relationships with my family, my wife, before I would eat. Nothing mattered until I could at least get that and then figure the rest out. So it got there quick, man.
Yeah. So here in 2014, you got picked up for shoplifting.
Yeah.
Right. Is that
Yeah.
is that where everything kind of broke to where you felt, hey man, I just need to talk about it now? Or were you still masking it and hiding it?
No. So that was, people talk about your bottom or whatever. That was mine. And what was once a big secret that only my wife and a few people knew about was out. And here's the deal. I was in that Best Buy. I had about 250 milligrams of oxy in me, about half a ball of cocaine, 8 ball of cocaine. And I'm wandering around the store. I didn't go into that store intentionally, like I'm going to steal stuff. I was walking around in there, putting headphones on and opening stuff out of I didn't know what the heck I was doing, right? So they picked me up, and I tried to pay for it. They said, no, I don't think so. We're calling the cops. Cops showed up, found a little bit of cocaine and some paraphernalia in my backpack that I had, and slapped cuffs on me, dude. Put me in the back of the car. And I remember sitting in the back of that police car, just like, dude, that's it. That's it. It's over. And I am about to lose everything. Like my family, my reputation, gone. 4 years prior to that, 5 years prior to that, I was a starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. Before that, the starting quarterback for the BYU Cougars, man, on top of it. About as high as you can get, right? Now I'm sitting in the back of a police car, handcuffed, bawling my eyes out, thinking my life's over. So that was the point where it turned for me. And, they took me into the station, and all the police officers knew who I was. They're making fun of me and whatever. They end up letting me go. So they don't keep me overnight. They're just like, okay, get out of here. See you later. I'm like, okay. So that was on a Saturday. Monday was a holiday, so I knew that it was going to come out Tuesday. And it took me till Monday night to work up the courage to tell my wife and to tell my dad. And so I got them together, and I said, look, guys, I was arrested on Saturday and picked up for this. And it's probably going to come out tomorrow. And I don't know what to do. And, you know, my wife is crying and my dad's just shaking his head. But to my dad's credit, my dad is a very good man. And he looked at me and he says, son, I love you. You're going to be okay. We're going to get through it. I'm here to help you. And that support from him was big time, really big time. So I spent the next couple of days trying to figure out what to do. It came out Tuesday, and I'm on the front page of every newspaper, on the headline at every TV station, and embarrassed, dude. You know, it's out. They got my nasty mugshot.
Wearing a BYU shirt.
Wearing a damn BYU shirt, dude. I'm like, this can't get any worse than what it is right now. This is 100% embarrassing. I felt like just digging a hole and crawling in it and dying is what I felt like. I turned my phone off. I didn't want to talk to anybody, figuring out what the heck I'm going to do. So I'm sitting there with my family and we're talking about what rehab I should go to, what we should do. So I end up turning my phone back on. This is a pretty cool story. As soon as I turn my phone back on, my phone rings and it's Brandon Doman. Brandon Doman was my quarterback coach at BYU. So I answer the phone. He goes, Max, I love you. We're going to take care of you, man. We got you. We're going to get you up to Utah. We got something in the works. I said, okay, great. Next phone call's Chad Lewis. Chad Lewis, you know, obviously All-American, you know, played for the Eagles, but Max, we love you. We got you. We're going to get you up here. We're going to take care of you. So that night I'm on a plane. I go up to Utah and they found a facility up there for me. They got me in and off I went, man, from there.
So how long did you stay in rehab?
I was there 3 months. I spent the first 10 days detoxing and, you know, I read about your detox.
Man.
More white knuckle than mine. You know, I was in the facility where they were giving me, you know, buprenorphine and Subutex and stuff, trying to wean me off. And then finally, I'm just like, just stop. I got to do this. So it was about 3 days for me where I was just banging my head against the wall and sick and going through all the withdrawal stuff. And that sucks. But I was finally able to get through that. Then they threw me into the rehab and I was there for 90 days. But man, for the first 2 weeks, freaking hated it, man. I hated it. I didn't want to be there. I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm not like any of these people here. I'm like, I'm shouldn't be here right now. I'm now that I'm off and I'm detoxed, I'm fine. I can get out of here. You know, the addiction starts talking. And so here's the other thing that was really hard for me, man. Even though I had gotten some help and that I was in the rehab, I still couldn't convince myself. Like, I still thought my life was done. You know, I'm like, I still had it in my head my wife was going to leave me. Still had it in my head no one was going to want anything to do with me anymore. So I'm still depressed and self-pity and everything that goes along with it in there. And I wouldn't answer any phone calls. You know, people can call into the rehab, leave a message, you can call them back. I wouldn't call anybody back, and my wife had been calling me. So my counselor, I remember in Big Ed, he comes in and he goes, Max, what the hell are you doing, man? I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, call your wife back. I'm like, I'm scared to call my wife back. I don't know what she's going to say. He said, trust me, call her back. So I called her back. She says, Max, I love you. I'm so happy that you're in there and that you're getting help. I'm not mad. I'm happy that we're finally at the point where we're going to get you some help, and I'm here to support you, anything you need. And that was big for me, man. I started crying on the phone, and that changed me, knowing that I still had the love and support of my wife. And that gave me hope. All of a sudden I was like, you know what? There might be light at the end of the tunnel here. I got hope finally. So that was the turning point for me to really say, okay, you want to know what? I'm going to dive into this recovery thing. I'm going to believe in what they're telling me. I'm going to dive into the steps, and I'm going to do everything they ask me to do because I want this now.
Wow, man, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm sure your wife was happy because she saw a different side of the addiction. She saw what you were going through. You know, when you're in it, man, you just can't see any hope. You can't see.
You see nothing except for the drug.
Right.
you don't see how it affects your family, your wife, your kids, your friends, your work. You don't see any of that because none of that matters to you. It just doesn't. I mean, it does, but you don't see it in the moment. It doesn't matter. So she saw she saw the lying and the manipulating and the money and everything that I was having to do, disappearing for hours on end. And so she's finally like, can this be over, please? I don't know what everybody else says. I care about Max and I care about our relationship and getting better. And that was pretty cool.
So how far did your addiction take you?
What do you mean by that?
It seems like, man, you know, what's interesting as I talk about, like, I felt like our addiction takes our cool. You know, being like you're in high school and you're a football player and you're a pretty cool guy and everybody knows you and you're popular and you feel like you got life just figured out. And then all of a sudden you get wrapped up in drugs and you don't even know who that guy is anymore.
That guy, I became a completely different person. So I understand what you're saying now. I lost about 35 pounds. I wouldn't answer my phone unless it was somebody who I knew had drugs. Had zero relationships with anybody, you know, no friends. You know, I had friends, but I wouldn't answer their calls. I wouldn't call them. I didn't want to go do anything. I had money from the NFL, so I didn't really have a job. I'm just kind of like wasting money on drugs everywhere and not being around my family as much as not raising my kids. It took me about as low as you can get, other than leaving and living out in a crack house or on the street somewhere. I got about as low as you can get and about in depth as you can get with it, using it all day long. And became a person who really just kind of turned his back and didn't care about anything that was going on, just totally self-absorbed, man.
So give me one takeaway from the recovery program that you learned that you can like instill in other people. What was one thing?
Whew. One thing, but I'm going to combine two.
Give them to me.
Okay. You have to own it. You have to freaking own it. It happened to you. It is who you are. Own it. Don't make excuses. Freaking man up. Number two, you have to get sober for you. I can't get sober for anybody else. It's not going to work. Don't get sober for your parents, for your wife, for your kids. It won't work. You have to decide for yourself that you're going to get sober. And once I figured that out, it started to work.
So let's talk to the people hearing this right now about opiates. You and I, man, we've ingested enough. We've taken enough. And I know you did an interview one time and you talked about that you refused some help and the cravings that you had from your opiates were just ridiculous. Right. And those cravings is what's pulling us from our families. That's pulling us from our profession, pulling us from answering the phone. What were you like? How strong was that craving?
It made me aggressive, like really aggressive. And I kind of told you the craving was so bad. Not only the high that you're chasing, but to avoid withdrawal from is intense, very intense. And it makes you mean and agitated. And with the people I was getting it from, man, I was aggressive, right? To get it and to find it. And the temptation and being involved in that is you cannot do it on your own. Like it completely takes you over. It talks about addiction affects the part of your brain that tells you to eat, sleep, sex drive, all of that. Okay. It turns that off and fuels drugs. And you're just, it overwhelms you. It takes you over.
So who's this guy now? Who's Max today?
Man, I'm a guy who's luckily sober today. I've gotten my family and we are rolling, dude. I have a great relationship with my wife and with my kids, a great relationship with my faith and in the church. I'm doing a job that I love. I'm coaching football at a high school, and I'm an administrator at the school. I'm around football, which I love. I'm around kids who I love, and try to help and mentor these kids with whatever issues they might have. You know, I have kids come to me and help them out with stuff that their parents don't even know about, because they feel like they can confide in me and trust me. And they also know that I've been through it. And it's a lot easier to go to somebody if you're having an issue with vaping or drugs or whatever that might be. A lot easier to go to somebody who's done it or who's been through it, and you feel like won't get judged by that. And I don't, because why can I judge anybody for going through something that I've gone through, right? I just want to help them. I want to help you get to a college. I want to help you get your careers and being a husband or father, whatever. So that part of it is really cool to me. And that's where I get to be now with my story.
So I do have a question. What's the difference between who you were in addiction and who you are clean?
First thing is, I'm not self-absorbed, right?
Yeah,
I care about the people around me and my relationships and serving others. The other thing is I'm not, you know, when you're in your addiction, you're dark. You got no soul, dude. It literally takes your soul, and it has come back. So there's a light, there's a different light in your eyes. There's a different energy about you. And that's the biggest difference to me. And that's what people see and what they say to me. It's just like, dude, you're a totally different person. You're back. You know, Max is back. But I'm not the guy I was before addiction either. You know, I've had to completely shift my mind on life and in this whole thing. There's a mind shift that goes on. You chemically have to change how you think about that, how you think about how I think about myself and how I view myself and my self-worth, and how I feel about others. And when I can be more about others, me and my feelings and how I feel, better off I'm going to be.
Yeah. So I was reading an article and you compared it to football, right? Like you were aggressive. You were this guy that was mentally tough. I mean, crap, you made it to the NFL. You played collegiate football. But the crazy part is that mental toughness, that grit does not help you overcome addiction, especially the opiates. I mean, and alcohol, you know what I'm saying? So what did you have to learn? Like, how did you have to have that kind of mental shift from being aggressive, like, hey, I can beat this, I got this, to holy crap, dude, I need help?
It was the hardest thing that I had to do. Yeah, I'm a mentally tough guy. Through hard things in my life, I've been really successful in football, and a guy who, if I put my mind to it, I was going to do it. Even if somebody else told me that I couldn't, that even fueled it. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, this thing ain't going to beat me. I can do this on my own. I'm mentally tough enough to get through this. You know, tried a couple times to just be like, you know what, I'm going to stop. I can do this. Yeah. Well, about 48 hours later, guess what I was doing? I gave up. I couldn't do it. Right. Even in the facility, man, I couldn't, there were things that I couldn't, like the whole surrender thing. Oof. I was like, I ain't surrendering to shit. You know, no way. Yeah. I'm not surrendering, man. I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight this thing. And I had to figure out that that's not going to work, man. What's going to work is humility, is receiving the help. Okay. Following the protocol. And that is going to make you a better person. And it is going to improve your mental toughness doing it that way, not being egotistic. You know, the mental toughness that I thought I had was just all ego. Well, it's not about that. It's about humility. It's about getting rid of self-pity and finding your self-worth. And that's not just going to happen. You know, that's something that you have to work on and something that you have to build within yourself. So yeah, me just being like, no, I got this. I can, that didn't work. I tried it a few times.
3 worst words in addiction recovery. I got this. Right?
Yes, absolutely, man.
So did you ever feel like putting you back in the arena, putting you back in the stadium when you came out to the public to tell people that you had kind of both sides. You had the home team and the visitor teams where there were so many people on your side saying, Max, dude, congratulations. Phenomenal job coming out. We love it. We're so proud of you. And then you had those people like, dude, I told you so. See, you're a fraud. I mean, that you were actually battling these people.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Man, yeah, I did. I think I've come to understand that more people appreciate you and more people are loving towards you and want to help you and are the ones who say, man, you are awesome for coming out and being open about this stuff and talking about it. You're changing lives. You know, we respect you for that. But then you got those people who just love to jab at you, right? And make the comments and makes comments on social media and even comments to your face, man. I even we were playing a team one time and we beat them. And after one of the games, the coach came up to me and said, hey, man, I don't even recognize you without handcuffs on. And I'm like, really, dude? Okay. All right. Good for you. There must be something going on with you. Your life, for you to feel like you have to come up to me and say that. And you battle both sides, but at the end of the day, I don't care. I really don't care what you think of me. And if you want to be the guy who just wants to just whatever, make fun of me and jab at me and say that I'm never going to amount to something and this is going to hold me back. Okay, great. Good. That's your opinion, man. I'm going to feed off and I'm going to be around people who understand it. And that's just kind of how I looked at it. So it doesn't bug me, man. Guys make comments, guys say something, they tweet out something. It don't affect me because it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So you were actually a coordinator at a high school when it all broke out, right? So you were you were in a public position.
Yes. So I was, long story short, I got involved with the quarterback that I was training and the school that he was at asked me to come on and coach. And I was not doing well at the time and was obviously struggling. And that Tuesday that I told you about where it came out in the newspaper, where we had practice that day. So there was still part of me that was hoping it wouldn't come out. So I was actually at the school when it came out. And one of the other coaches came up to me and said, hey, Max, you probably need to get out of here, go home. Not in a mean way, but he's like, hey, let's get you out of here. So, you know, what's funny is at the time I had my license taken away too. I couldn't drive. So I'm riding a bike around everywhere. Just like, so I left the school and I remember going to a parking lot somewhere, sitting on the curb and just like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to sit here, I guess. Like it sucks. It's over. But so yeah, I was an OC in a high school. It came out. That sucked. I felt bad for the kids that I was coaching, for the school that I was at. And that was just another piece of shame that was on me that I had to deal with and try to overcome that part of it. But that sucked. There's no other way to say it. Yeah.
So here's my dude. I want people to hear this right here. My man is, we take him all the way through this process. He plays NFL. And then my man's riding a bicycle because of effects from this drug addiction.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's crazy. People don't understand like the depths. See, I didn't get to that point because I had a doctor that prescribed me everything, right? But my moral compass was so freaking broke. You know, and for me, that was the hardest. That was the biggest shame I had, man. See the difference between you and I, yours came out in the paper. You know, yours came out national TV. Most of ours, nobody knows about. And so we carry that shame and guilt all over the place. So that's why I'm proud of you, man. Like, let's talk about this because I feel like there's such a stigma on addiction that nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah. And you want to know what? There's more people that are going through it than we all know about. There's a lot of people out here there's probably a family member or close friend who's going through it and they just don't because they're keeping it a secret. And there's that whole saying, secrets keep you sick, right? The more you want to keep that a secret, the worse off you're going to get. And, you know, addiction it doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what you do. It doesn't care if you're an NFL football player or if you're a guy working construction or if you're a police officer. It doesn't matter. But for me, as embarrassing as that was, and as hard as that was to sit in the back of that police car and to get arrested and for that to be blasted out in the news and all that, was maybe the biggest blessing of my life. As hard as that is to admit and say, because if my secret hadn't have gotten out publicly like that to where everybody knew about it, I don't know if I would have been humble enough to go get help. I think my ego may have still said, I'm good.
Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. And this allowed me to be like, okay, that's it. It's out. And it ended up being a blessing because it started my path to recovery.
So you're talking to people right now. They're listening. They're listening to Max Hall talk, and they're like, "Man, I'm struggling the same thing. I want to talk about it, but how do I start that conversation with my wife or my father or my loved one? Like before it gets to the point to where you die, right? Because there's 3 ways out of addiction: sober up, get locked up, get covered up. We all know that. That's it, right? Yep. And there's no old time drug dealers anymore. They're all dead. Right. And so how does that conversation start, man? Like, how are you talking to these kids? How are you talking to these parents about, hey, let's get on a level field. Let's talk about it.
That is very hard to do, man. I don't know a lot of people who have been able to just say, you know what, want to know what? I need to talk to somebody about this. That is hard to do. Nobody in the middle of an addiction wants to go talk about it with somebody. I didn't. I in a way lucked out to where I had to. I have no choice. And a lot of people, what happens is it's the wife or the parents or somebody who reaches out, and then I'm able to kind of dig in and start conversations and get to where they can trust me. So if somebody is in that situation now, I don't know what I could say to them for them to be like, oh, you want to know what? Yeah, I'm going to go tell my wife and I'm going to start getting this thing rolling. It's almost impossible. They need a mentor. They need somebody who's noticing it to take them under their wing and get them some help and then counsel them on how to do that. Because I don't know about you, that's how I feel. That is dang hard to do, but you have to be able to do it at some point. Otherwise it's not going to stop. So that's why for most people, something has to happen. They have to get arrested. They have to get a divorce. They have to lose something in order to kind of light that fire and motivate them to finally get help. I think it's rare that somebody just all of a sudden one day decides to do it. Either some sort of an epiphany has to happen. They have to look around and be like, look at my life right now. This is not what I want for me in my life, and make a decision that way, or something bad's got to happen to them. So for me, I look for signs, man. If I think a kid is struggling in any way, man, I try to grab them and sit them down and just talk to them and let them know I'm here and I love them. And I'll do anything for them and I want to help. And I've had decent success doing that.
Nice. So you're protecting your world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like anything you could touch, you're affected. I love that, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the last couple questions I have, man, is I want to talk about your family life. I want to talk about your wife.
Yeah.
Right. Because this is a big, I'm sure, just like my wife, it's a big component to who you are.
Yeah.
Right. So she was with you from the addiction, involved in the addiction, correct?
Correct.
So is she still triggered by some of the things? How was her recovery coming from your recovery?
She is a monster, dude. Meaning she is a fantastic woman. She has been beside me no matter what, has defended me no matter what. Even when friends and family told her otherwise, she stuck up for me. She's believed in me. And she's a fighter, man. I love her to death, man. I love her more than anything. And our relationship is phenomenal right now. However, that doesn't mean that everything's perfect. And we both still have triggers, and there's still things that'll happen, and she'll have a flashback, or she'll have feelings come up that she hasn't had in a while. And she's had to work through that on her own and had to get her own counseling and had to have her own support group to help her through that, because I couldn't do that by myself with her. She needed to work on herself too. And as we both worked on our individual self, it's brought us closer together. But she I don't know how she did it, man, but I put her through a lot. And for her to stick with me, you know, through the mud and come out on the other side has made us stronger and made her stronger and less codependent and self-worthy. And she's opened up her own business, and she's done some things in her life that I don't think she ever would have done without having to go through some of the things she's had. It's just made her a strong woman, and you know, somebody I love and can rely on.
So I know that my wife, she's been affected by the addiction as well. And so, you know, things that I do can trigger her. You know, I was the addict. So like if I'm on my phone too much, she's kind of looking at it and thinking, like in her own mind, you know, or I'm talking on the phone, or I'm not leaving my phone out, you know, or if I stayed out too long somewhere that I shouldn't been, I maybe made a pit stop at Circle K and didn't tell her, you know, because that communication is paramount with them, and you have to build back that trust.
Yes. And it's hard. And at first you just want it back. You're just like, you can trust me, you know, just like, come on. But it doesn't work like that. It's time and consistency, man. Good decisions over time will just help gain that trust back, as you know. But still, if I take cash out, you know what I mean? Like, I can't just go to an ATM and take $100 out.
Nope.
What's she going to think? Why am I taking cash out? What do I need that for? Right. So that's that open communication of we have to be very vigilant in what we do and understand what might her perspective be if I do this.
Yeah.
And the line of communication, and it's still hard for me, you know, I want to suppress feelings. I don't want to talk about everything, and I don't want to be nitpicked in everything I do. And I shouldn't have to tell you everything that I do, you know, I'm like, but at the end of the day, that trust comes with time and consistent behavior, man. So,
and we earned that, you know, we earned it.
Yes, we did.
So yeah, I totally get that, man. I'm totally honored, man, by the way that you're open about it. I appreciate it. If you had a chance to speak to the masses, man, and you could say something about addiction and recovery, what would be your vote, your mantra to people? What would you tell them?
Oh man, there's a lot I'd want to tell them, right? But it would be this, especially for those that are in addiction or even in recovery for that matter. It's nothing to be truly ashamed about, right? There's always hope. But at the end of the day, like I said before, you have to care about yourself. And if you can care about yourself enough to want to have a life, then you can do it and you can get sober. And once you do that, man, you can bless the lives of others. I mean, I look at guys like you who've been through it and been in the depths and had to come out and crawl out and get out to the other side. And now using your light to have a podcast and a website and to bring guys like me on and talk about it, man, that is big time. That is affecting people for the good. And so if you're in it, man, you have to trust that you can get better and do it for yourself and love yourself. And I don't know how else I can convince somebody to do it, but that would be my message, man.
Right on. Hey, I appreciate, man. I appreciate that. And I'm looking at your shirt, 2019 state champs, right?
There we go. Yeah.
And you're still out there doing it, man. That's what I want to end on, is this redemption story, man. We look at these incidents in our life as failures. We feel like, you know, we went through it for no reason. And I look at you, you're right back in the spot you were, man. You're coaching high school football. You're in administration. You're winning championships. You're still training kids. You're still teaching. And that's what it's about. You didn't buckle, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost did, but I figured it out. And it does feel good. Not very many of us make it out. You know, it's just less than a third of us actually are able to get sober and stay sober. And so I feel lucky. I think some things have bounced my way, and, you know, to my credit, I took advantage of it and I was able to do it. And, man, it blessed my life, and I'm able to help those around me, dude. So it feels good, but I also know I could lose it tomorrow. Right. So we got to stay on top of it and talk about it. And you know, live what we preach, man.
So what are you doing? What are you doing to stay sober today?
So I got my support group. I got people that I'm accountable to. I'm open and honest with my wife. I'm open to testing. You know what I mean? I'm open to whatever she might want to do. I'll still catch a meeting once in a while. I used to go to like 3 or 4 a week, but I'll still go to my meetings, especially if I feel like I need to. Receive counseling and still have a counselor and stuff. So there's certain things that I do to stay in check and make sure, that I don't fall.
Right on, man. Hey, brother, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming
Yes,
on,
sir.
for blessing our lives, for sharing your story, and for standing up and being the guy who you are, man. Keep chasing the vase. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. Man, you're good,
Yeah.
man.
I don't know about that, dude. I was speaking off you.
Dude,
Energy about you, dude. You're great. You're good at doing this, man. You found a calling right here, dude.
man, I totally enjoy it, man. I really do.
Yeah. Oh, I can tell you do. You get fired up about it. And I've watched some of your other ones, man, and a good thing. And it's people like you who can shed light on this whole thing and really help others, man. It gives guys like me an opportunity to tell my story and a stage to do it on. So,
Well, I saw one of the reasons I want to kind of talk to you in private is I had an epiphany a couple of days ago, and I want to chat with you about it real quick. You got 5 minutes?
yeah, man.
So check this out. So I'm on all these websites, and I have a ton of people that I talk to, and I'm seeing a trend. I'm seeing this sober moms club. This everything you see online and like Instagram on recovery is these women, man, and these women are crushing recovery. And their support group, and they have like 50,000 followers. Like it's a movement, right? And I start looking at it, and I see zero things for dads out there. Like guys like us, especially in the church, man, where nobody wants to talk about it. It's a like, we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do, I'm serious. I know you're always clipped for time. You don't have a lot of time, man, but I want to seriously get a podcast. And I want to have like a sober guys club, a sober men's club, a sober LDS, whatever we want to call it. But I would like to have you as like a host. So get 4 of us that just get on. We take a topic and we just bounce it off until we feel like we've exhausted it.
I'm in.
That makes sense?
Yeah, I'm in, man. I'd love to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, and I don't know
like that either.
It's not out there, bro. I mean, I'm on this every day.
Yeah.
And I'm usually like this where I have one-on-one connection, and that's always good. But man, I'm not seeing it for guys.
Yeah.
And the women are open, man. Like they talk about it with us. Man, nobody wants to talk about masturbation. Nobody wants to talk about sex stuff. You know what I mean? Like that the porn became one of my biggest freaking addictions once I got off the opiates because I had to replace it, you know?
Sure,
I didn't have any tools, bro. I had no tools. Nobody talked to me, and I needed help. So I'm honestly in the process of I'm wanting to throw another podcast together. I didn't know if it'd be something you could do once a week. You could dedicate an hour for 4 guys, and we just throw out a topic and we bounce it off and just kill it.
Yeah, man. I'm for sure open to it, man. You just let me know, and that'd be fun to get on and just kind of bounce ideas or bounce experiences or opinions on stuff and debate it and whatever we can do. And if you guys are watching that and can benefit from it, want to be a part of that, and I'm all in, dude.
Dude, do you know anybody on your end that would be good like that knows addiction, that would be seriously open to just converse or maybe think about it?
Maybe think about it.
Yeah, because I have guys, but you got to have the right chemistry.
You got to have the right chemistry, and you got to make sure it's a guy who's clear enough to be able to do something like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pretty strong in sobriety. And my issue right now is I've cut ties with a lot of that world, meaning other addicts and stuff that I know, even if they're sober, because I've had to clean the closet out a little bit. You know what I mean? And absolutely. I don't want to be around guys that I've used with, or, you know what I'm saying? So I have a couple guys in mind, and I'll reach out to them and see if they'd be interested in doing it. But you're right. I want to be able to find the right guy.
So I would say 3 to 4 hosts. So you and I have this guy named Blue Robinson. I don't know. Check him out. It's called Addict to Athlete. He's out of Utah.
I've done a podcast with
you
him.
know Blue? Super
I know
great
Blue.
guy, man. Super wonderful guy. I've kind of talked to him a little bit a while back, and he might be a good one to get on.
He was actually one of the guys that I kind of thought about, but I was thinking, would he want to do that? He's got his own thing going on. But if you know him,
yeah, I know him.
He would be all in to do it with us.
Yeah, I think it could be sick.
See, and that's what I'm talking about. A guy like that. You know, I don't want a buddy who's a year sober, or, you know what I mean? Like, I want a guy like that, and I'm gonna see what I can do. Let me see if I can figure one out.
Think about it. I mean, I think if you get like 6 guys, it's too much. There's too much dialoguing, like cross talking. But I think if you got 4 guys and we had a topic beforehand and we dialogued it, it could be cool.
I agree. I think that's the right number. 3 or 4 max, I think is perfect. So.
Okay. Do you have a phone number I can text you on?
Yeah. I don't know why you don't have it already. We should have given it to you, but it's 480.
Okay.
416-4813.
Okay, so I'll text you tonight, so you'll get my number. But if you wouldn't mind thinking about, I kind of want to start it within the next, like maybe early February.
See, I got a couple guys in mind, but one of them's a loud, very opinionated guy that I don't know would be good on a podcast. So I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to talk to a few of them, and I'm going to figure out, even if we maybe say, hey, come be a guest.
Exactly.
And see if we want to invite them back, something like that. So, okay, I'll be in touch with that.
And you just want to make sure that the guests, you don't get in a dick measuring contest, like we don't care who talks. And I think you have the same kind of vibe. I can feel that. Yeah.
And that's the problem, is this guy I'm thinking of is kind of a one-upper. And if you tell, oh man, this happened to me, he's going to be like, well, that ain't nothing. This happened to me. You know what I mean? So, and that's what I'm saying. We got to find the right guy who's humble, who just is open to talking about stuff, who can, you know, what's the phrase they use in there? Listen to understand, not respond.
There you go.
That's what we want.
That's what we want. Cool.
So,
well, think about it. I'll think about it, and I'll talk to Blue, just kind of throw his name out there, talk to him, see what he thinks. And we'll go from there, if that's cool.
Yeah, love it, man.
Right on. Hey, I'm seriously blessed, man. Thank you for your time tonight. Honestly, I appreciate it.
That was fun, dude. That was one of the better ones I've ever done. So, I mean, seriously, thank you.
Good. Right on, man. Have a great evening. We'll talk soon.
Okay, brother. See you.
Later.